Welcome to the Right People, Right Places podcast. I'm your host, Raul Mendoza, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Emily Sheely. She is the talent acquisition leader here at Grande Cheese, and Grande Cheese is actually a client of Rapido Talent. We've had a fantastic run at a lot of talent acquisition searches here these last 7 months and continuing that relationship here. And but I have her on today. She has a fantastic story, and in terms of how she got into talent acquisition. Now, being someone that's been in talent acquisition and recruiting for 20 years, one thing I know about that is that it's unconventional how you get into it. You don't go to school.
Definitely not.
To be in talent acquisition, right?
No. Talent acquisition finds you.
That's right. It finds you.
Which is truly the nature of acquiring talent, is finding talent.
That's right. See, that's the thing with talent acquisition. It finds you so that you can find the right talent, right?
Absolutely.
It's a calling.
Yes.
It's a calling. You can't get a degree in this. You can't get a specialization. You need to be tapped on the shoulder and asked. Anyway. So, very happy to have Emily Sheely. Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Raul. It's a pleasure to be on. It's been a pleasure to work with you over the last, 6-7 months?
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy.
7 months today.
Must be.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, let's just kick into it. Tell us about your journey and how you ended up here at Grande as a talent acquisition leader.
It's definitely been a journey, and we definitely took the scenic route to get here. I think back, right, college graduation, you have all these big aspirations, high school graduation, let's throw it even farther back, right? Like, oh, okay, what do I want to do? I don't know, but doctor pays a lot of money, and I did okay in school, so okay, let's just be a chiropractor, sounds reasonable, like, great. So get into college, I went to UW Oshkosh, totally humbled by that first chemistry class, to the point where I remember working so hard in it and still getting a D, and I was like, yeah, this is not, like, I can't.
This is not your calling.
This is not
Emily's calling.
No, this is not where we need to be. So I'm doing a quick pivot, right? Because, I'm a freshman in college. I did one semester completely, just totally, I can't even describe the feeling, because I was just so what just happened? I was used to being 4.1 in high school. So to see a D, I was just like, okay, my life's over.
I'm useless.
Yeah.
So you're going for medicine?
Yeah, and okay. I had chiropractor kind of at the front of mind.
Sure.
For what reason, I don't know. I think it was just
okay, so it was chiropractor.
Yeah, I'm thinking chiropractor sounds good, sounds interesting, sounds fun, and then bottom that chem class and thought, okay, I recognize that even if I had the skill, the level of work that it was going to take was not what I was signed up for. That was not what I was wanting, how I was wanting to invest my time. So I thought, okay, business degree sounds good, sounds like something that I would be interested in it, but it also sounds like something that would give me kind of that school life balance that I'm looking for. Yeah. When I look at the timeline of how many years do you have to invest in business degrees before you can enter the workforce, right, before you can start making the money that I had as an expectation. So landed on marketing again. Why? I don't know. I feel like I spun a wheel, it landed on marketing, and that's what we went with. Which is the normal 18 to 19-year-old mindset, I think.
So was this, did you make this pivot, a couple of years into school?
No, this pivot probably happened sophomore year of high school,
okay.
I think is when I high school. Sophomore year of college is when I officially changed my major from
chiropractor.
From a pre-medicine science over to a business degree. And so, fast forward, graduate with my marketing degree, and there's a variety of different things that you can do with a marketing degree. Mm-hmm. I ended up in kind of a sales management retail type position. I was doing that for 5 years, and in it I thought, wow, I'm really good at this, but I also kind of hate this. And I loved the people that I worked with. I was finding fast success in that career, but I was just, you'd get the Sunday scaries. You're like, I don't feel like this is sustainable for the rest of my life. This is not bringing me the joy that I would expect a career to bring. So I mean, another classic young man's mistake, young woman's mistake. Yes. Where I decided that I am a college graduate with 5 years of experience and I will find a job no problem. So I just put my notice in without having a job backed up. And another humbling moment of 4 months, unemployed. I was like, oh my God, Emily, what is wrong with you? But my, let's see, were we engaged or married at the time? We must have been married at the time. But my husband kept saying, like, don't take another job. Really reflect, really figure out what is it that you actually want to do. And that was part of being unemployed for 4 months, because he was not going to accept anything less than great for my next role. So he's like, what did you like about your last job? And I really liked working with people. I really liked training, and I really liked new hire experiences. And then I really liked just the hiring process overall, and really like putting life-changing opportunities in front of people that might not find them otherwise. Now, I had just had a very small taste of that in that sales management role. And then what I think the very first thing that really like made me love talent acquisition is I got a job as an HR business partner. And I certainly on paper was explicitly unqualified for that role. Compared to others, I'm sure that people outside of the decision makers were like, are you sure? Like, that's the girl you want to go with?
So did you apply to this position?
I actually applied to a lower level role and started interviewing for the lower level HR coordinator type role. And throughout the process, they're like, hey, actually we have an HR business partner position available. Would you be interested in? In my mind, I'm like, oh, obviously. But it still took a lot of work to get there. But the one thing that I will never forget, and I will be eternally grateful for, is that plant manager explicitly took a chance on me because he believed in me and he thought that my personality and my work ethic would be a good match for what the associates at his facility needed. And like that just launches my career into HR. So I spent 3 years in an HR business partner role, which, as you're aware, is going to have many hats, right? Employee relations being a big one, which I enjoyed that work. But again, I really found myself loving changing people's lives, getting them the jobs that they were hoping and dreaming for, or maybe didn't even know that they could obtain, right? Because I was in that bucket before of somebody putting something in front of me saying, you can do this, and we'd love you to do this. And that's kind of how I entered HR. And so then fast forward a couple more years, that opportunity was life-changing for me, but it was a extensive commute. So it was a hard decision, right, to leave after 3 years, but it just became a point where I'm like, okay, I got to be closer to home.
Totally.
So then for my next round, I'm like, okay, lesson learned, get a job first, then to quit.
That's right. But I mean, I think that's, it's great to take that time, and you were in a time in your life and in your marriage where you could take 4 months and didn't have kids. So it's like, you gotta take that time to figure that path out. And now you did, you had the help of your husband, friends, family, kind of saying, hey, like drill into what you want to do. You took the time, and now you found something, you got in contact with people at a place of employment where they saw something in you, took a chance on you, and you did a 3-year stint as an HRBP, and realizing, wow, I really love the people business. So it's like there's a lot of clarity that came from that pause, and I think that's just a great thing to identify here, especially because there's so many folks that are out of work right now in the talent acquisition space. This doesn't have to be a time of hopelessness. It can be a time of contemplation of
absolutely right. And even if you're not getting paid for the work during that time in the way that you traditionally would, like right through monetary, I look back at that time where my job, and I owed it to my husband at that time, right? Because he was completely financially supporting me.
That's
and
awesome.
Again, when you look at the age that we were and just going from 2 incomes to 1 income was impactful. I remember we were at the supper club and he was trying to cheer me up. So we went out for dinner. We could not afford to go out for dinner, mind you. And then the bartender is coming around being like, hey, it's nightly sign-in. You could win $1,000. It's $20 a ticket. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I swear to God, if you spend $20 on the ticket, dead. So what does he do? Spends $20 on a ticket. Then we win the $1,000 pot. I know. So I was just, but like the financial implications, I remember like crying on the way home that because we had won this $1,000 and that was totally gonna like make it so much better for the next several weeks. But like, I just look back on that and it's just like, oh my Jesus. Okay, this is why you have to make grown-up choices because like
fortune favors the bold.
I know, right? And but yeah, I mean, I just felt like my career and my passions in the workplace really found me through a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think those mistakes are okay because it really taught me that it didn't leave a lot of like what ifs on the table for me. In fact, my decision to leave that marketing sales role is because I had taken a promotion that I thought I would love. Mm-hmm. And it was like the tipping point of I am not passionate about this type of work and I can't do this type of work. But now I have all of these, right? So getting to Grande, I ended up as going from HRBP, I went into a recruiting manager's role. And
within the same organization, right?
Actually, no, I
different
changed.
company.
Yep, I went to a different company that was a lot closer to home and did 3 years there. And again, what a great learning experience about managing a full cycle recruiting process in there. When I look back at my marketing degree that for so many years, I'm like, oh, you should have gone for HR. That's what you're passionate about. But really, right? What is talent acquisition? You are selling and marketing opportunities.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's all same.
Yep.
So, and just now having kind of that marketing mindset to understand how to get these opportunities in front of people. And that's really all it takes because in the several times that I have looked for a job in the last, let's just call it 8 years, the amount of jobs available is so overwhelming and
That's so true.
Right. And also, as much as companies are interviewing me, it's also my responsibility to be interviewing them because now through the years, I've learned that I hold equal responsibility to make sure that this is going to be a mutually good fit, whether I'm a recruiter or a candidate, right? Because I look at some of the jobs I've had and from like day zero, right? I'm not even hired yet. They have laid it all on the counter, but I think you just get kind of a little like too excited about the opportunity as a whole and maybe don't have those honest conversations with yourself. Like, am I passionate about this work? Is this work going to fill my cup? Am I going to be challenged by this type of work? Mm-hmm. Is this workplace culture something that aligns like intrinsically with mine, right? With my values, with my beliefs, with how I run my family life. And Grande, now this role, right? I've been here over 6 months and I finally, let's see, I graduated college in 2013. So it took me until 11 years to finally figure out like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. But it also took me 11 years to figure out like, this is where I'm supposed to be because outside of the job itself, I think it's so important as a job seeker to find somewhere that's going to fill your cup emotionally, like support your career, but also just support you as an individual.
Yes. It's a whole, work is not just a part of our life. It's who we are. We don't, and I have this conversation with candidates all the time, people, friends, not just candidates, but we don't live to work. We don't live to work. We work to live. Right. It's the other way around. So I think we can compartmentalize this whole issue of work when actually we spend 80% of our time, 80% of our life at work. So that's going to have an impact into our family. So values, everything that you're talking about, these things are so important to consider. Values, people, culture, do I align with those things? And if, and just being able to consider those things and make a decision on those things versus just trying to collect a paycheck. Anyway, there's enough jobs out there. You said it yourself.
Oh my gosh,
Like,
absolutely. I mean, it's so overwhelming, and
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part too. When I've been a job seeker, and my husband has always been my very type A black and white constant to be like, you get too excited about stuff. Yes, but that is like an explicit part of my personality that I can't compromise on, and that's why you're here to kind of help water me down a little bit. But when I was looking to leave my last employer, and again, right, make another strategic move to get closer to home so that I could have a more positive impact on my children. Because I'm a career woman, but I'm also a mom of 2 young kids, and that is a very fine balance to make sure that my husband feels like he gets, enough of my attention, that my kids feel like they get enough of attention, but also that I'm doing a service to myself and not giving everything to others and still having some time to explore the things that are important to me.
Yes.
So just finding an employer that can help you do that, I think that's the hardest part, right? Because you could have any job you want right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, truthfully, and
it's so true.
It really just depends on how much you're willing to put into it and the sacrifices that you have to make on the back end, right? And that was the part that took me over 10 years to understand is what type of sacrifices are important. What accommodations can you make, and what boundaries do you have to set in the workplace to make sure that your life feels balanced?
Totally. I mean, that's so good. So good. I think that goes back to what you said earlier about, we're interviewing as a candidate, considering an organization or an opportunity. We're interviewing the company, the people, just as much as we're being interviewed. And we need to, I just think that's a great takeaway for folks. And even for folks that are looking to find their career, it's like, you know what, this is bigger than just a paycheck. It needs to be value aligned. This is going to impact our family. It's a livelihood. So we need to think through these things and actually, and I just love that you've gone through this journey of just being able to, you don't know what you don't know. So it's like, you have to try
you can look
out.
in the rearview mirror and be like, right, that all of those were teachable moments, but I think sometimes those teachable moments feel too much like a failure and not a teachable moment. But just really trusting the process, and that can be so hard when you're in it and in the process of, right, like uncovering your passions or uncovering the boundaries that you're willing to accommodate in the workplace or even at home, right? Like, now I have the opportunity to work remotely 2 days per week. And my 5-year-old daughter, in her 5-year-old black and white mind, she's like, well, if you're home, I get to be home. No, you're going to daycare. But just, right, like understanding how everything, and you don't even have to have kids, right? Maybe your kids are dogs, or maybe you don't have kids at all. Like, no matter what season of life you're in or what choices that you've made in your personal life, that shouldn't matter. You still deserve to have a balanced work life.
Yes.
And you still deserve to have your employer help you meet those goals.
Absolutely.
And just taking that journey, and sometimes it is like crawling. Right?
Yes. The days are, what is it? The days are long, but the years are short.
Yes.
Yeah. You say that about kids usually.
Absolutely. And it applies to parenthood, but I think it also applies to your career, right?
Yeah.
Because I actually remember, so when I was an HRBP, right? So that was at this point 6-7 years ago is when I was in that role. It was at another mozzarella producer. And so let's see, it must have been, I think it was Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association. Yep. So the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association hosts a variety of different women's events, and Grande was gracious enough to host because they had just finished moving into this brand new beautiful building, and so they hosted downstairs an event for
in the lobby.
There's a huge conference room right below where we're at right now, and it's stunning, right? Just like any room in this building. But I remember coming and thinking, how do I work here at Grande? And I remember leaving with almost this like existential dread of like, oh, they're so close to my home, and look at that beautiful facility, and like
Yes.
that would satisfy everything I need in my life. And I left that Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association almost feeling a little defeated, like that is unattainable.
Yes.
And fast forward 6 years, and I'm sitting in that conference room for new hire
my
training,
gosh.
and it's just like full circle, like a dream come true. But also, I think part of it is like willing it into existence,
Yeah.
right? And understanding that you might have to take a detour or a big sidestep, which I did, right? Because I ended up going to a different organization first that was actually completely outside of the dairy industry as a whole in order to make my way back. Because had I not taken that sidestep, I wouldn't be here at Grande, because at the time I took that sidestep, Grande did not do in-house recruiting.
Right.
We only used third party
Yep.
to satisfy that service. So, right, it's kind of back to my initial point of you have to trust the process. It might just be the wrong time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's the wrong dream.
Totally.
You just might have to like let it play out.
I love that. That is just good. That's a clippable thought that you just shared right there. I think trusting the process. I just think that's massive. For a candidate or for someone in talent acquisition. I think one of the things, again, you can't go to school to be in talent acquisition. So it's like the school is actually your experience. It's
Absolutely.
actually trusting the process. For you, it was going to college and exploring chemistry, thinking that maybe you wanted to do something with pre-med. And as you went through that process, you realized, actually, no, I like to figure things out, but not to this extent.
Yeah, it's a little nuclear.
So let's make a shift, marketing and business. And then that led to a career in marketing, and that was, and you were really good at it. And it kind of crescendoed there, but you're like, this isn't quite it. And then you took that 4-month break. And so I just, and then you landed at the HR VP role, which was a little bit closer.
Yes.
It's in the people's place. I mean, interestingly enough, I find that people make the shift into HR from TA, not the other way around. So I think that's even interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me about your story is that you were actually on the human resource side of things, but you saw an opportunity in talent acquisition, and made the leap there. But again, that was a necessary experience for you
Absolutely.
to kind of clarify your vision of what you need. And then you had this serendipitous moment where you came to a women's event, and you stepped into what could be your dream job at some point, and you're like, this is it. I want to work here. I love this organization. I'm clear on what their values are. I love what they're doing in the community. This would be ideal, but the timing wasn't right. But then again, going back to that point that you made, trusting the process.
Right.
And being committed. Trusting the process is being committed where you're at.
Correct.
And learning the things that you can learn. Because truthfully, in talent acquisition, all of your life experiences can really be leveraged in what you're doing. I mean,
Well, and they're just, right, I think one thing that it took me so long to learn is there's probably going to be more steps than you think there is.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not just like this clear straight line path of I'm going to do A, B, C, and D, and it's going to be perfectly planned out, and it's all going to happen when I expect it to happen. No.
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 But that's okay. And I think being okay with kind of that uncomfortable, unknown, ambiguous part of the journey is going to bring like a job seeker or even just a person in talent acquisition. I have so many, I through my career, I've had so many positions where at the scoping or the intake, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. And then it just like all of a sudden, like poof, here's this person.
Yeah.
How we got to them, I don't know. Right?
The magic of talent
Yeah,
acquisition.
but whether we found them or they found us, or I don't know, they just kind of came down out of the universe and apparated in front of me. Like sometimes that's how it happens. But it's like through these candid conversations and just understanding the human connection.
Yes.
And how to continue to better the lives of people, even if you're not able to award them the job, or even if they reject your offer, right? And just finding ways to continue the conversation with them, even if you're not actively looking to bring them onto the team, right? Because if they had a great experience with you, even if they didn't get the job for whatever reason, right? They're not awarded the job, whether it's our choice or their choice. They might look back and say, wow, I had such a great experience with Raul and he really took care of me.
Yes.
So, my friend, significant other, whoever just got laid off. I'm going to see if Raul has something for them. Or, oh my gosh, Grande's work hours didn't line up with what I can offer, but my sister-in-law can do that schedule. It's like all these tiny little bites that turn into a very successful career in talent acquisition.
I love it. I think what you're touching on here is so critical. I think talent acquisition of the future isn't going to be as much about sourcing talent, trying to find that diamond in the rough type of individual. It's about actually crafting candidate experiences. I think that's where it's at. I think that's where AI can't touch that. No amount of technology can touch that. Like you said, one of the things that I like to boast on this podcast is relationship. It's all about relationship. Relationship powers business, relationship powers technology. Relationship is what sustainably makes things work, whether in business or in life. And you can have all the technology in the world, but relationship's going to be the fundamental thing that moves things forward. And I think you're touching on that candidate experience, and that's really where I see talent acquisition going. It's going to be, you're going to be crafting experiences for candidates. Absolutely. And that's what's going to actually, that's your talent attraction.
That's your long-term pipeline right there.
Absolutely.
Right, because I think a lot of people in talent acquisition, whether you call them unicorns, I've heard even purple squirrel, right? And I think it's a little hokey. It's not my favorite thing, right? Because it's not.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's not that I don't want to talk to the purple squirrel, but everybody wants to talk to the purple squirrel, right? I would also like to consider all of these brown squirrels, right? And understand, like, okay, what nuts have you collected throughout your career? Okay, what nuts do you hope to collect in the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Yes.
And having those conversations and really identifying, right, your diamonds in the rough that have the potential to elevate quickly if put in the right environments.
Yes.
Because I think, right, I had that opportunity. Again, explicitly underqualified on paper for that HRBP role, but someone took a chance on the brown squirrel.
Yes.
When there were plenty of purple ones that were ready and able, had applied for the job, found it on their own, and I'm just like, all right, here I am, bushy tail, bright-eyed, and I am ready to collect more nuts. And so that's where I think it's my responsibility as a talent acquisition partner to educate our leaders at the organization on, we absolutely are going to try and find like the ideal candidate that meets every box that we want. But we also as leaders have the ability to train some of these boxes and to develop talent and take chances on people that deserve the chance, that deserve somebody to throw them a Hail Mary and see what happens.
Yes. That's gold. That's gold. That's exactly it. And I think it just brings us full circle. I think this is a full circle moment in what you're sharing. It gives credence and it validates the experience that you went through, because someone took a chance on you and now you get the opportunity to help take chances on people and actually educate an organization to do that. Because we want the unicorns, we want the purple squirrels or the brown,
right, whatever.
We want that very skilled talent, but the truth is that people have potential to grow and develop, and sometimes we don't know what people are capable of,
Right.
You were in that situation, you didn't know what you were capable of, and through your process of experimentation and exploration, you arrived to that place and people taking chances on you. So I think that's such a critical, what you just said there is just massive, because I think organizations can get caught up in trying to find the perfect candidate and miss potential and miss the opportunity to actually develop and grow someone. And what that does for talent attraction efforts, for finding that purple squirrel down the line, 3-6 months down the line, like that could be the story that hooks that person.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think, you know, man, you're knocking it out of the ballpark with this stuff. I just think this is stuff that people in talent acquisition need to hear. Like, it's about relationship, it's about connection, it's about educating your hiring managers to not just look at the ideal, but also look at the potential of people and creating an experience,
right? And
creating a story to tell. That's marketing. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear stories. They don't want to hear pitches. They want to be
right.
They want to hear a story where there's a rescue and a hero. You know, there's a damsel in distress, a hero, and an underdog. And
I always love an underdog story. True.
You know, and I think that's. Again, we get to craft those stories in talent acquisition. So I love this. I just do. I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
I mean, you and I could talk all day.
I know, seriously, we absolutely can. But I think I just have one more question just to ask you. So you're 7 months in here at Grande.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? What's a highlight for you? Is it everything that you expected?
Yes.
Everything that you dreamed of?
Yes, and it's funny because I mean, especially in the position I'm at, right? I'm frequently asked by candidates, "What's it like at Grande?" And I can't put it into words because it's something that you have to be here and you have to experience for yourself. But I can tell you that without sounding too cliche, it has really just been life-changing for me. Not only from like satisfaction in my career, but Grande does so many things to make sure that you're also satisfied in your home life and that things are easier for you at home, right? Through programs that they have in the workplace that just make your life easier and in turn actually increase your productivity, right? Because I'm not so stressed out during the day because I'm worried about like, oh my gosh, like I've got a sick kid at home and what if it goes from a runny nose tomorrow and then it's a fever the next day and now I can't work because my employer doesn't allow remote working, right? Like there's just so many things where they're trusting the associate's going to do the right thing. They're putting programs and benefits and perks in place to make your life easier. We have I share this example often because we have a relationship with the local car dealership. It's a valet service, okay?
Cool.
I still have to pay for my oil to get changed, but they will come. I drop off my key with the girl at the front desk. We put a tag on it that says Emily on it. They come get my car. They go do the oil change. I pay for it over the phone, and then my car is back. And let me tell you that while that would not be right, like a reason to come or stay or anything for an employer, those types of small differences that have a huge impact on my work-life balance because I don't have to take 2 feral children to sit in the lobby while my car takes 2.5 hours to get an oil change, right? I can be up here working, not thinking about the fact that my car is getting an oil change, and it just adds so much balance to my life.
Yes.
So yes, absolutely. It's everything I knew it would be and more. I remember my husband being like, "You're getting too excited again." Like, I don't disagree, but I really think that this is the time that my level of excitement is going to be validated.
Yes. That's great. Love it. I love it. That's fantastic. So, I was going to ask you if there's one thing that you would say to the talent acquisition community if there's one thing that you would want to pass on that you wish you would have known back when you were in that HRBP role, back when you were in that marketing role, what would you say to people that are, one, unemployed and have been downsized from their job because of the economy and business, and specifically to the TA folks out there, and to people that are considering maybe a career in TA, because the truth is, we're going to come out of this, and it's talent acquisitions is going to be needed, again, in a greater way,
I think my one takeaway when I really look at even like 2009 entering college, plus my career in non-TA and now my career in TA, is really not permitting yourself to be discouraged by any setbacks or even what feels like a failure, because you're probably bettering yourself, getting a key takeaway, or even, right, like let's just say you have a hard to fill job. You submit somebody you think is great and you get an immediate decline. It doesn't feel good, but now you're armed with more information of, okay, the next group of candidates I talk to, I now have this new sliver of information that's going to make my screening process more effective. So just allowing yourself to have a setback, to have a failure, and to not have any level of discouragement, just using that still as a positive springboard to continue to move forward, to get to that career that you want, or to get to the level of productivity or success that you're looking for.
Love it.
That's what I would.
I think you killed two birds with one stone in that comment. I think for both people that maybe have lost their job, that's a setback.
Right.
But it's not the end of the story.
No.
For those that are considering talent acquisition and maybe are in a different career altogether, to know that, hey, open your eyes to where you're at. There's learnings here for when you get to that point and that career opens up for you as you're looking for it, because those roles are going to come up again. And
absolutely.
And so wonderful. Well, this has been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Emily, this has been great. I think there's just so many nuggets of wisdom and experience that you shared that I think so many folks are going to, I mean, this stuff translates not just into our business and professional life, but also into our personal life. And I think you so beautifully told your story in a way that I think is going to resonate with people, help them, and come away with nuggets of wisdom to actually put into practice as they kind of consider the way forward, and whether it's another role in TA or whether it's making a shift from TA somewhere else. So thanks for being on the podcast. Of
course, Raul, my pleasure. As a podcast super fan, I was honored.
Yes.
Thrilled, really.
All right, high five. Oh, okay, that was good.